first of all, thanks to Tree for doing this. It's great. I was laughing, like talking to my wife earlier on. She was like, "Oh, like who are you recording with later on?" And I said the 3V, and I was like, "Jesus, funny." Like thinking back a year ago, I was sitting down with PD, and we were talking about like how the games is going to go and the build up to that and everything, and then the whole fucking world just like fell apart for everyone, really. I suppose Sam, we'll start off with you. Um, this lockdown has obviously been a bit different for you because you're muscling in on the fucking podcast scene, you prick.
Yeah, I did that just to spite you. So
Yeah.
take
Um,
that.
where did that unique idea come from?
I think I'm probably the last person on earth to start a podcast, but I think it was just something to do. Obviously, lockdown's very unsociable. A lot of people can't see anyone, so almost people watching it kind of almost get a bit of a social interaction, hearing maybe like people from your gym that you'd usually talk to, like they might not get to hear you or talk to you too much in person. Obviously because of lockdown, so it's almost like a kind of knocking down a bit of a social barrier. Um, during the lockdown. Also, then it's kind of a fun idea. It's a bit of fun. Our guy Connor is really good with kind of media and stuff. He's really the brains of it. Me and Jamie just sit there and
The eye candy.
just talk absolute dribble, and then he makes it goes boop, 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 and it turns into something. So that's
Do
really
you
it.
do you enjoy doing it? Like, do you enjoy recording them?
Yeah, the first one we ever did was really bad, and me and Jamie were both kind of like frozen, couldn't talk, and we just deleted that one because it was super awkward. And then we just released episode 2 as the first one.
Yeah, you should release that one for like you should set up a Patreon account and just release that one. People pay for the awkwardness. I
I
got
don't think we're anywhere near Patreon just yet.
Yeah, I actually looked there earlier on. You know, the Buttery Bros released a trailer for their Proven series or whatever. So it's like $7 is the Patreon subscription or whatever, but it's only going to release to them for a while. And then they keep saying like, oh, maybe further down the line we might release to iTunes or whatever. But they have like 600 patrons in a day. Like just, I was just looking at it earlier on, like on my calculator, being like, oh fuck's sake, like how it's just like ridiculous. Um, Emma, you competed in stage one of the games. The last time we were spoke, you were just kind of getting ready for it and gearing up for it. Um, Obviously, it was different than what you anticipated maybe this time last year, like what it was going to be like. Um, how did it compare to what you thought might happen when you heard that it was going to be online?
Yeah, like to be honest, like it was the best it could have been, kind of
Mm.
thing. It was still obviously during COVID, so we only had like a very small group of people. Probably pushed the limits of of how many people we could have, but still kind of kept it small. But like for me, it was still awesome having like your friends and family, all your PT clients and stuff, be able to watch you actually do your sport. It was good, like, but I don't want it to happen this year, but it looks like it is going to happen this year again.
Yeah, well, we live in hope, I suppose. Like, do you enjoy those moments? Like, say over the 2 or 3 days or whatever, do you enjoy those moments? Are you present in what's happening, or is it like a blur? And then when it's over, you kind of look back on it and say, "Oh, that was cool," or whatever.
Yeah, it's probably more looking back, because we obviously you were only given like a time frame to get the workouts done. So it was like warm up, workout, physio, eat, chill, warm up, workout, and like go to bed kind of thing. So yeah, it was more like it was remembering the Saturday from the last workout to the next morning was pretty good the party, but during the rest of it, like I didn't really get to experience much of it and have really that much fun as such.
Yeah, was it a distraction like leading up to it? In hindsight, now maybe do you think it took from a potential performance with the kind of uncertainty, or do you think because everyone went through it, it was kind of a level playing field regardless?
Yeah, I think it was a fairly level playing field. Like I think like quite a lot of the Americans, obviously a lot of the gyms were open, so they were able to bunch together and obviously create a training environment and more like games like training setting where obviously I couldn't. So I'd say probably I didn't really have that kind of competitor's edge as such leading into it, which we weren't really. It is what it was, kind of thing.
And did it take away like any of the enjoyment, say, in the run up or during it, or do you kind of park it about like, say, other people like PD and other people missing out on those opportunities that had been there for them that were taken away? Like, do you kind of have to park that early days, or is that something that you might use to kind of fuel it, that, you know, you're one of the lucky few kind of thing?
Like obviously, like no matter what, I'm gonna go out and like was always gonna give like my best performance for me, kind of thing. But like, yeah, there wasn't any added fuel kind of thing. It was I'm always gonna go out and try and perform the best no matter what.
Yeah. PD, like your season took, I suppose, a drastic turn after. I assume it's just me. I must be like your bad luck charm or something. We were hyping up your showdown in Madison and how like great everything was going to be, and I actually remember us joking about this pandemic in China, and we were like, oh well, once you don't go and compete in China, you'll be all right. So like, you know, the benefit of hindsight, I suppose, but like, what was the point in the season for you where you kind of said like, no, I'm fucked here. Like this doesn't look good at all.
I could be fair. It was probably quite early on. You know, you were still in denial for a while. Like, you know, it might still go ahead. It'll still be on. But yeah, it was pretty early days to be fair. And then you sort of knew, like, you know, you just know that it wasn't going to go ahead. And yeah, just sort of like without even officially knowing, like it just didn't look good from. I can't even remember when it was. Even like maybe April time or around then. Like was fairly certain it wouldn't have went ahead, you know, just judging by the way things were going. So yeah, it was pretty early days, but it I didn't really fully admit it to myself until I guess you got the final notification.
Was there was there like a mourning period after it where you kind of had to deal with it yourself, or do you think you
No,
kind of?
definitely not. I was totally fine. Yeah, like training took a bit of a backlash. I didn't train for a while. I took like a month off, did nothing, didn't really feel like doing much either. But if you kind of needed that as well, you need to take a bit of time off. Like I think that's the worst thing people in CrossFit do, and I'm the worst person for it. You know, you don't take any time off completely. So to sort of go again, like you know, you look at what Fraser did all the time, always taking them, not to compare myself to him one bit, but you know, you do need a full off season and a bit of rest, and it's typically what CrossFitters don't do. So yeah, I think it was good to get a bit of time off anyway.
And then obviously like it's difficult when something gets taken away from you, and when it's like such a bizarre set of circumstances. I don't know if it makes it better, like if it makes it easier to take or harder to take when it's something so unusual. Like if it's an injury, you could almost maybe might be something you've dealt with before and easier to kind of compartmentalize it or whatever. But when it's such a random series of events, like was there a point in time then where you felt over it? Like was there a, you know, when you started going back to training, like did you get the love back for straight away, or did you have to kind of search for that a bit?
Um, no, definitely. Like just from taking a bit of time off, you're stiff and sore, and like, whenever you take time off, I definitely advice to anybody is don't do nothing. At least go out for a long walk. I did absolutely nothing, and I paid the price. So like, your back was sore. Because you're so used to moving and training hard. You know, you need to keep your body moving. So it took a wee while to get back into it. Probably, to be honest, a good month. You know, of just doing simple stuff and getting back into it and trying to build intensity back up. So yeah, it did take a bit of time to get back into training again and get that, because whenever you are enjoying it and you are at a relatively fit level, whenever you're not at that level or you're way off it, you just don't enjoy it, you know. So you kind of have to build yourself back up there slowly and just trust that if you keep moving and be consistent, that you will get back there, you know.
Mm. Sam, you tried a few of the stage one workouts, if I remember right. Were you surprised by any of the tests that the athletes faced?
I don't know if I was surprised. Like, I think you can always be surprised with what comes up. I don't think anyone has it figured out ahead of time. But I thought the one with all the overhead squats, I definitely didn't see that kind of weight for that many reps happening. I wouldn't have never gone, you know, what's definitely coming up is this many overhead squats at a heavy weight. But apart from that, like I thought the handstand was a good shout. given that some people might be in home gyms and stuff like that. So I wasn't too surprised there, but I thought they were cool workouts.
Yeah. Did you get sent anything, Emma? Like other than a judge was assigned and arrived or whatever? Did you get anything else?
After day one, after the real workout, the judge was then allowed to give us the drag rope. So that was the only thing we were given.
And were you given any like tech support or anything like that, or is that just totally they didn't give a shit once the judge was there and was able to tell them what happened?
No, you basically had to figure everything out for yourself. It was, to be honest, if the games went online again this year, I would have a full team behind me. It was extremely stressful weekend. They did kind of put quite a lot of pressure on us.
As in, like having equipment ready and all that kind of stuff.
They stick with the time frames. Like we had to measure weigh every single weight before every single workout. Like even though like my home gym has 3 sets of bumper plates, like in the whole gym, every single weight had to be measured. Like I've got 4 barbells. Like whatever barbell I used had to be weighed.
Do you think that if it does go online next year, or this year, do you think that CrossFit themselves have to do something? Like, do you think that that's what, say, the Athletes Association might look at doing it with input from you guys after stage 1?
I don't really know what more they could do. You know, obviously they did send the judge. I would just say probably making us more aware of how much like the athlete needed to do or kind of thing. It just wasn't it, to me it was like, oh, the judge is coming, you're gonna do the workout. And I felt it was gonna be more like, the open is just like load the bar, crack on, off we go kind of thing. 3, 2, 1, go. But obviously it wasn't like that. It was definitely more like obviously the games. So yeah, it was a lot different, but I don't really know what more CrossFit could have done, if you know what I mean. Like once they send their judge, I think for me it would just be like even asking like Jarena from Filthy 150 to like gather up like a couple of obviously like her guys, obviously because they're all very well like competition prepared, and like have like 2 or 3 people, right, use guys sort equipment, 2 or 3 people use guys sort social media, and 2 or 3 guys just to like like fix, because like there was a kind of like workout area for nearly each workout. And I think it would just take a lot of stress away from the athlete.
I suppose like the main question when you're reflecting on something is like, well, would I have done anything differently? So is there anything that, I suppose to start with the boys first, like Sam, is there anything that you would have done last season differently, knowing what you know now about last season, if you know what I
mean? I mean, hindsight is everything. Like if you knew what was going to happen, you'd change anything afterwards, I guess. But I think that's a impossible question to answer, because
like say now, like you did, a good few sanctionals. Like, do you think maybe if you knew that the same year was coming again, it's in the same schedule, obviously you're going to perform differently and stuff like that. Like, I don't mean individual workouts, but would you have said like, maybe I shouldn't have done that competition? Or do you think that they're all going to feed into something good that's coming further away?
Yeah, they're definitely all going to stand to me at some point. And I'm glad I did all the traveling last year, because this year I've been stuck at home. So I don't regret any of that.
So you can't afford the flights this year, is it? Is that the... I can't see
any
reason why.
There's no other reason except that I spent the budget last year.
PD, do you think you would have put more stock into sanctionals and less on
definitely. Like, as I say, I sort of had my year planned out at a couple of sanctionals I wanted to do, and then I was also going to go to America for about 6 weeks beforehand, so that was kind of my year planned out. But yeah, just as Sam said, hindsight's everything. So if you had known it was coming up, you definitely would have tried to done every competition you could have nearly that you would have been healthy for. So but yeah, who would have known, huh?
Yeah. I suppose the to finish off our review of last year, the biggest news of the last couple of weeks is like Fraser retiring. I was curious, like, say, Emma, you're uh, at the top of the Irish game. Like, can you empathize with that decision to just be like, yeah, I'm done, and like walk away, like when there's still potential for like further accolades and like further performances? Because I suppose most recently I was talking to Marcus Philly, and he said, I asked him about, like, he had his best career finish the last year he was in the games, and I was kind of curious, like, God, would that not? It must be difficult not to be like, oh fuck it, I'll do one more year. Like, that was really good. But he said that the sense of relief he had, and he's spoken to other people as well when they finish, of just like, oh my God, thank fuck that's over. Like the stress and the constant, like he said, he was living in fear, like, and Fraser says it as well, that he's training in fear. Like, do you think that that's something that maybe when you hear people talking about stuff like that, that's something that you might look forward to as well?
Yeah. So like, I have my timeline. I know when I'm retiring, but the rest of the world doesn't necessarily need to know that. So I'm sure Fraser had his timeline, and this was just his time. So like he's obviously been working towards his timeline to retire. But you don't obviously have to openly tell anyone, because you always make everyone else kind of like live in fear as well of like, frick, is he going to do another year kind of thing. So yeah, he's kind of like just worked towards the end of like his end goal, and obviously he's been the most successful man in history, so definitely he's going to feel great for it. And like, I know my end goal as well, so like we've already talked about it, myself, Dave, and my coach. And whenever you have that end in sight as well, like I know for me, like I'm probably working harder than I've ever worked, because I know like there is an end point coming.
You don't feel like announcing the end point now? No.
There's girls behind me, so they can live in fear until I retire.
Do you find it as stressful as that? Like, as Marcus was describing it there, like, do you find it that there's that heightened stress like almost all year round?
No, it's definitely not all year round, but like whenever it creeps around to the Open, obviously, like, if I don't think there's very many athletes go into it like hugely confident, because anything can happen. Obviously, like Sam Briggs is like a really good example. She put like the second fastest time in the world in the first Open workout, and got 2.5 minutes of penalties, and put her out of qualifying for the game. So like the Open every year, I think, is nerve wracking for every athlete in the world. So like so yeah, like I think everyone kind of like lives in fear kind of thing.
Do, like, PD, when you hear that, when you see like Fraser retiring, would that make you assess your own career as well? Like, would you like, have you got a similar idea to what Emma's talking about there? Or when you hear of like someone going out like that, are you thinking like, fuck, maybe need to start thinking about that as well?
Oh, I've retired in my head 10 times over. Yeah, like it's admirable, very admirable what he's done, and it's smart too. He could have went on and done another year, maybe another 2 years, who knows? But like he just went out with total dominance in the top, and he has his business. Like, he's smart as well. He has his business plan. He has everything else lined up. He seems to be a smart guy, so it seemed to be a good time for him. But yeah, to resonate with it, like, you definitely can. Like, I think in this sport, you kind of have to be in a bit of fear. You're always like, God, who's coming up, or who's going to do this, or who's going to do that, So you can't let it rule your life, but it's definitely it's definitely a good motivator anyway.
Does it affect any of you, the change in the system? We'll say with the Open having more importance, I suppose, like regionally rather than nationally now this time. I mean, the three of you were pretty successful worldwide in the Open last time anyway. Like, you, Sam and PD, you were just outside the kind of whatever it was cut off, like even excluding the national champion side of things. So like, Sam, are you in any way perturbed by what's the changes that have happened, or are you just like, it literally doesn't change anything, I still need to perform?
Like, there's no point in thinking about the old system for this year, because it's just looking at the past. You kind of just have to deal with what's in front of you. I think this year's system takes a lot less or puts a lot less pressure on the open. You could probably just do the workouts once, because once you're in the 10%, I think the scores reset, and then it's a bit more game on. So I think it's kind of less pressure from the start, but then it's going to get probably more overall pressure as the season progresses.
Yeah.
It is nice knowing that you don't have to do 5 weeks of 5 weeks of hell, I would say, to be fair. So knowing you don't have to come to the end and you're sitting trying to do a workout like maybe 3 times or something. So I think that's definitely a nice game changer. But as Sam says, I think the pressure will probably come later on after the first round.
Does it make it easier? Like, would you prefer it if there was no other Irish person in the quarterfinal, or if like all the Irish people were in the quarterfinal? Like, say PD, would you rather it was just you and that you weren't competing against people that you really know and like have, you know, some form of relationship with, or would you rather it was
Not
all?
really, no. I think it's cool that, you know, to have more representatives in Ireland and thing, especially like if it did go to the regional sanctional type thing, or continental, sorry, they're calling them. Like, it's, as Emma says, it's unlikely it'll go ahead in that format. But if it was an in-person competition, like, you want to see as many people there as possible. You know, I think it's just great for CrossFit and great for the sport, and it's just great for Ireland that, you know, so many people could be there, essentially. You know, so yeah, no, you definitely do want to see them there. You know, preferably to be doing better than they are, but you still want to see them there. You know,
you just want to, you want to be the one stamping on his neck at the last. Yeah. I was one of the first to say Continentals as well. Just want to get that out there. On audio. I meant to ask, you know, obviously a time is coming, some might say sooner rather than later, where a similar thing is going to happen on the female side, where, you know, T is going to call time and to be 2 you know, periods of dominance will come to an end. Like, what happens there? Because I suppose something that I thought of was like, my initial thought was like, oh, everyone must be fucking delighted, like on the men's side, where they're like, oh, thank fuck, like, you know, there's actually the rest of us actually have a chance now. And then I kind of had a thought of like, if that was me, suddenly I'd feel more pressure than I've ever felt, because if I'm, say, I don't know, say just the top 4 behind him last year, like, take Fraser out of it, nobody was in the same position for 2 days in a row there. Like, everyone was in second, third, fourth, and fifth, and they all moved around loads of different times. You could assume that the same is going to happen on the female side when Tia stops. So, like, as athletes yourselves, like, Sam, would it heap pressure on you or take pressure off you, knowing that the best is gone and that now there's no, like, you know, I'm reluctant to use the word excuse, but like, there's no, oh, well, I didn't win in 2019 because like Fraser was there, and obviously I didn't win in 2020 because Fraser was there, and then in 2021 it's like, well, why didn't you win that year?
It probably does put a bit of pressure on a few people. I think definitely if they let it get to them, that they think, okay, if you're truly thinking I'm capable of winning this, then it definitely would put extra pressure, or you probably put the pressure on yourself. I don't think it implies pressure to them from others. You'd put it on yourself. But going back to Fraser, I think, like, I know it's great for him, he can retire on his own terms and stuff, but it would be like, for the long term kind of development of the sport, I think it would have been slightly more interesting if someone would have dethroned him or beat him, because for the next, I don't know, 10 years, everyone's going to be going, well, could that guy beat Fraser? And that's going to be the question. And then the answer is always going to be no, because they didn't.
That's why he done it, doesn't it? That's his ego. You know, he wants to be remembered that dominant force, and
it's the same, you have to assume it's the same reason Rich did it as well.
Yeah, he doesn't even have the same bags under his eyes. You can see the stress lifted off him. He must be sleeping better. So he is. I think he literally lives in a constant state of fear. So yeah, or maybe that's just the makeup he's doing for all his promo videos of his new program or something. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Can you see a similar period of dominance coming from anyone else again? Or like, I think, you know, there's obviously, say, Haley coming up on the girls' side, who has a long career ahead of her going on age alone, and then Justin, same thing, you know, or Dallin even coming up from the teen side has even longer ahead of him. Like, can you see another, say, 1 year filler of like similar to Ben Smith between Rich and Matt, and then like another prolonged period of dominance? Or do you think as a sport, as more people are doing the sport, like, I mean, there's more Irish people in the sport than ever, just even closer to home, the men's side is more hotly contested than it was in the past. Same in the UK. Say, like, you know, it seems to be growing, getting more and more people involved is diluting the pool, we'll say. Do you think that that dominant time is, like, do you think that's coming to an end, Emma, or do you think that there's always going to be someone who's just has that in them?
I don't know. Like the sport changes every year. Like I didn't like. I don't think anyone kind of thought like Matt and Tia would have walked this like new ranch version. You know, obviously as much as they did. You know, but there was no other real not, don't mean that in any way, but like standout athlete as in like dominance wise from like second to fifth, if you get me. So I don't know, but like as you said, like those young teenagers coming through, like it's even like Sam coming through, like he's just so young, like and can do freakish things, you know, for me anyway. Like I'm 31 now. I'm not saying that's like over the hill, but like there's young people coming up through, so they've like the coaching is better for like straight away from the get go. Like I was speaking to this not so long ago. It's like whenever I started CrossFit like 7 years ago, it was like the biggest thing in the gym. If you got like double unders and ring muscle ups, you were literally a legend. Where now it's like people are picking up double unders and kipping pull ups, kipping toes to bar within like their nearly like their fast track kind of thing. And I just think that's just down to coaching has even progressed. So like it's inevitable that people are going to get better you know, from a younger age. So like some of them teens could become quite dominant, but again, it's injury and etc. that all comes along with it.
You know, when you sit down at the end of your season, say, Sam, like, do you like look back and think like, right, what went really well and what do I need to change? Or is it, especially when it's such an unusual season like last year, do you just kind of say like, right, I just need to move on from that, and like, obviously I still have the potential to get stronger or faster or whatever, I'll just keep working on what I'm working on?
I don't, especially last year because it ended so abruptly. I think you kind of have to dissect it a bit more and pick certain areas that went well and certain areas that didn't go so well. You probably couldn't look at the whole season because there wasn't a whole season, I guess, for myself anyway. And then so you probably just take the small things, maybe like one workout here that didn't go so well, and I nearly drowned at that workout over there, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's a smaller goals, and then no matter what, I think you have to let it most of it go anyway. Like whatever happened, and you just have to let that go. You can't dwell on any results or anything. You just got to take lessons that you can keep with you for the next season, I guess.
Emma, would you describe yourself as like compassionate towards yourself after a season is over? Like, would you have a similar kind of mindset to Sam there, where you're like, well, what went well and what didn't? Or like, do you kind of beat yourself up a bit maybe for a while? Or like, how do you handle when a season is over?
Like me and my coach, we just sit there and talk usually. Like we usually have like after this year's games, like we had a call like straight after the last workout. And like we spoke for like just like a quick like 10-minute call and just kind of like recap the weekend briefly. And then I think it was the Monday, like around noon when the hangover kind of gave in a wee bit. You know, like we had a really good like maybe hour and a half, 2 hour call. Usually it would have been in person. But yeah, still can't see people. So yeah, we had like a good call and stuff, and just like broke down every workout, chatted about everything, like about our peak. We messed up a few things, we nailed a few things, and obviously then what we do to get it right for the next event. So I would be quite critical of myself, but obviously I like to hear what my coach's thoughts are as well. And then it's easy just to look at the data as well of your results and your placings.
Yeah, PD. Then would yours would have been a similar, I suppose, a similar outlook to Sam, of like after you got over the disappointment of kind of being like, right, well, where did I see some gaps that I need to work on, kind of thing, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think self-hate's a great fuel. You just think that oh yeah, I'm shit at everything, so I need to get better. So yeah, whenever you don't really have a season or whatever, you can't really look back and be like, oh, this event I didn't do this, or this event I did this. So you didn't really have that structure, I guess. Whenever you haven't competed in a while, so yeah, you don't really get that. So yeah, it was difficult to do. You're just really judging yourself through from training or what you think typically your weaknesses are. So you don't have them benchmarks to go against.
Your sister is a sports psychologist.
She is, yeah.
I'd say she has a fucking field day with you if self-hate is a great fuel. That's your mantra. I'm sure she's like, she's probably listening outside the door.
Well,
we're gonna have a long chat after this.
You can believe that if you want to believe it. Just because I said it isn't true. No, I was just having a bit of a laugh,
Yeah, no,
yeah, you need to be self-critical of yourself, and yeah, like you have to analyze things, to an nth degree. So if you do want to progress in the sport, you have to analyze things both physically and mentally, and see if it actually was a physically that you gave up, or did you actually mentally give up, or did you mentally give up before you even started it. So it works in all aspects, like.
Yeah. Sam, we'll do a quick fire there to finish this one off. So I think you've actually done 2 of these already, so I don't know what I've asked you and not asked you in the past. You and Emma, you're my first three-peat guests, so you can hold that over whoever gives a shit. So ski or row?
Row.
Wall ball or dumbbell squat?
Dumbbell squat.
Present or guest on a podcast?
Present. I'm getting into it. It's a bit of fun.
Burpee or thruster?
Thruster.
All right, Castro announces one of the open workouts, and you immediately think, "I'm going to win that." What is in it?
I'd hate to answer that, because then I would think that I'm only good at 2 or 3 movements. I'm doing my best to kind of be as well rounded as possible, but I'd say some sort of snatch. I'd like to see 17.3 happen again. Some heavy snatches and some chest bars. That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe in the quarterfinals, I'd say.